it worked for me. And that's the thing is I learned to decide what worked for me and to go with it.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Welcome to Tulsa Talks. We're here with Jeremy Davis. He's a pharmacist at one of the hospitals not too far from Tulsa. I know Jeremy from the gym. Been knowing him in passing. We've had several good conversations over the last decade. Jeremy's got a life experience that some people may need to go through. Maybe some people have went through. His life experience is getting into better physical condition. Jeremy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Craig.
So you were telling me about how you were actually in the medical industry as a pharmacist, and you'd went through all of that schooling that it took to do that and qualifications, and you found yourself a bit overweight.
Right.
How much did you weigh?
At my max, I was about 450 pounds.
So you're a medical professional that functioned in a hospital, and you saw what weight could do to people, being overweight could do to people. You found yourself there, and you thought that it'd be a good idea to maybe not do that to yourself anymore.
Right.
What was your breaking point?
Now, everybody has various breaking points. You start out with some that are small. You decide, I need to get into better shape. And you think about it for a long time. And maybe you start working out, maybe you don't. Maybe you think tomorrow I'll go, but you don't. For me, I'd started to notice that I was having more trouble doing simple things that I wanted to do. I'd always been pretty active as far as the ability to be physical. I could go on a long hike.
At 450 pounds, carrying probably 200 pounds of back weight, basically. Hey guys, try that one day. Go for a hike with 200 extra pounds. See what happens.
I couldn't go up a steep incline as easily as I wanted to, but I could get around.
You can still do it.
Right. Because, you don't get to 450 pounds overnight. You start out at 180, 200 and build up. But you're eating more than you're working out. But for me, the breaking point was I'd started to have more trouble getting around and doing what I wanted to do.
And how old were you when this life challenge presented itself?
45 or 46.
Okay.
45, I think. And one day my sister, who was just 40, fell over dead.
Oh my.
She died because she had a clot in her lung. And she was in shape. She was still young, thin, went to the hospital, and the providers missed it and figured she was having a panic attack and sent her home. And I thought to myself at that, I said, recently I've had more trouble getting around and doing the things that I want to do now that I'm this big. And I'd started walking during my lunch breaks to get a little bit more active, because as a pharmacist, you've got to, in a hospital, you're sitting most of the day.
Yeah. Take a step in the right direction by taking some steps around the hospital.
Yep. And so when she died, I thought to myself, if this were to happen to me at 450 pounds, 45 years old, nobody's going to be shocked. But if I'd been in that same situation, they'd have looked at me and put me on monitoring and done scans and figured out what was wrong.
Yeah.
But
so kind of weight prejudice to a certain degree, unfortunately.
Yeah, and prejudice towards believing, that males are going to have more health conditions.
Yeah. Well, kind of prejudice toward the lighter, more fit person, because there's nothing wrong with them physically. Whereas you get somebody else heavier in there, and they're going to say, we need to check you out more because we think you probably have a problem because of the weight that you have on you.
Sure. So that was pretty much my breaking point as far as that goes. And so I finally woke up one morning. I'd been going for a walk every day during lunch. I was walking about a half mile to a quarter mile at lunch. And I thought, if I can do this during my lunch break, how many days of a week could I carve out a little bit of time for me? And so I started getting up in the mornings and going to the gym. I'd always thought, I'll do this tomorrow. And then tomorrow you'd wake up and it's today, not tomorrow. So you'd go back to sleep.
And tomorrow never comes.
Right. Tomorrow never comes. Instead, I thought, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go. And I went and I did what I could.
Yeah.
And
what was your first, you said you'd already been walking for a quarter mile, maybe a half a mile a day around the hospital. First time you went to the gym, how long did you go? How far did you walk? Do you remember
About 30 minutes. But I put myself on an incline and I decided I'm just going to try to start this out low and build up as I can. And the first thing I did was I decided, like you were talking about, try carrying around extra weight. I knew from previous times working out in gyms that I tended to do better if I would give myself an incline, let my own weight be part of the exercise equipment.
Yeah. I've noticed that the incline on the treadmill actually burns more calories and gets my heart rate up more than beating myself up by running on a flat.
Yeah. I can remember one day at a gym, I was walking on an incline. I was only going about 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, nice, slow, steady walk.
But on a pretty steep incline. And I'd always type in my age and weight because they'll calculate where you're at and how many calories you're burning. And a guy got on the one next to me. He was younger. He was in peak physical condition. And he'd kind of done the same thing. And he got up to a full sprint. And he ran for an hour. And I walked for 30 minutes.
And he was flat or he was inclined?
He was on a flat.
Okay.
And full on running.
Yeah.
And I just happened to notice when he was done that he burned less than a quarter of the calories I'd burned in the
same time span.
In my time.
And you were taking your time and not beating up your joints.
Right.
And he was there pounding himself, which there is a sport of running.
Yes.
That's cool. That's good. But if we're talking about burning more calories faster, you've learned that incline on that helps.
It worked for me. And that's the thing is I learned to decide what worked for me and to go with it. I've never been a sprinter.
Me neither.
But I've got decent endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to focus on my strength, not on my weakness.
Yes.
And I knew it had worked for me before, so that's what I did again. I started out with that low, slow on an incline and built myself up. And every few weeks I would increase the incline or increase the speed until I could go for closer to an hour or maybe an hour. And it worked, so I wasn't beating my feet pads down. I wasn't injuring myself. I could go on a regular basis, and I decided to be consistent. In the past, I would go to a gym and I'd work out for a few days and take a few days off. And then pretty soon you're thinking, I need to go to the gym today. So you go for a little bit and then you're like, I came in, I'm good. And you go home. And then in a few days, you're just going by the gym by driving by. So I learned that it's easier and better to form a positive routine and a positive habit. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get to your ideal weight? You were at 450. What is your ideal weight?
It took me about a year and a half to get down by about 150 to 200 pounds. At my lowest, I've been 230. It took me about a year and a half to get there, but probably the first 80 or 90 dropped off within a couple of months.
Wow.
Because I also changed my diet.
So you don't want to out-eat your training habits?
Right.
Which is easy to do.
And to eat healthier options.
Right.
Go from eating, most foods have sugars added into them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to cut that out. Eat more fibers, more starches. A carb is a carb, but how they burn in your system and how long they keep your energy levels up changes based on the foods you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned to eat foods that worked well for my body, allowed me to do my workout routine on a daily basis, and to keep up the energy that I needed for that, as well as my other activities, without putting me into a calorie surplus.
And how long ago did you go through this?
About 2.5 years ago to 3 years ago
Okay.
again. I kind of did the whole dive into it head first and get it done because I was tired of being tired. I was tired of being overweight.
How was
And-
your energy level through this transformation where you said you lost 80 or 90 pounds in 2 or 3 months?
Energy spiked.
Energy was up.
Right.
You're losing weight, energy was up.
Right, because I was getting up and getting moving first thing in the morning. You know, before you'd get up and you'd putter around the house for an hour or two before you went to work, and you never really got your body moving.
So you say when you engaged in physical exercise, it engaged yourself into another platform of life?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get up and let's move if possible.
Yeah. And I mean, as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Don't hurt
And
yourself.
that's the thing is if you build up to it to what your body can tolerate without getting too sore, too tired, you can get to a higher level of activity faster than by thinking I'm going to jump into this and go full force from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the last conversations that you and I had at the gym was with a fellow that was or is a lifelong friend of my wife, my daughter, and mine, and he's a bit overweight. You came up and you were encouraging him, telling him your story, and we talked about how this might transfer into other aspects of our life as well.
Yeah.
And I know that I've had key milestones in my life of, hey, this works. And for this aspect of my life, and how do I incorporate that into something else?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have different low points in their life of realization. And I say it's drilling down to a good platform to be able to stand on and excel your life into other areas as well. How have you incorporated this fitness into other aspects of your life?
I think the first, being more physically fit, having the energy to do the things that I want to do has been very helpful. Not being as sedentary, again, lets you have that energy to put into other things. Second is to learn how to transfer transferable skills and habits into the other things that you're dealing with, and learning to be consistent and accept that you're not going to be perfect at anything at first.
Yeah.
But that if you just keep pushing and just keep trying and working within your abilities, that your abilities will increase and things will become easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a year and a half to lose close to 200 pounds, roughly. And that was a journey where you had a lot of growth, and then you were fine-tuned and fine-tuned and fine-tuned what you were doing, and had this snowball effect of changing your life overall, the way you live. Do you have any other examples of how you might have incorporated this thought process? How did you transfer this?
So, you thinking about it, you have other aspects of your life, whether it's time with your family or whatever, that you want to get yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, oh, I'm 48. My kids are, well, at the time, I'm 45. My kids are getting close to college. I don't have that much time with them at home. When they're small, it's easy to spend time around them because you're running them to their activities, and you're putting your energy into getting to those activities and being present, which unfortunately some parents don't do. They show up but they're not present.
Right. Yeah, they might be there, but they might not be present. They might be on their phone,
Right.
might be whatever else.
Socializing with other parents, whatever, versus spending time with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'd kept thinking, I need to be more present with the kids. I need to spend what time I have with them at the house and doing things that they enjoy. But, you know, it's hard to break that mold of I'm the parent, I'm not the friend. You have to keep the authority around, but you also want your kids to be comfortable coming to you with anything. So
delicate balance.
I'm sorry.
Delicate balance.
Right. But you transfer the skills of, all right, let's see what works, you know, and if something isn't working, let's find out what does. And let's focus our energy here and get to know my kids before they're gone, you know, off doing their own thing, their own life. And enjoy what they enjoy. You know, like one of my kids is big into online gaming. And I play online games, but I play old guy online games. You know, I don't have twitch reflexes like a teenager anymore, but I can listen and I can watch and I can be excited for them when they win and laugh when something, you know, when something goes well or doesn't go well, and teach them that it's okay to lose. You know, my other kid is huge into programming and computer things. And I was 18 and out of the house before my parents had a computer. You know, 19 before I had one of my own, besides what you could access at the school. And this kid is a computer genius. You know, can do anything with computers. And I just didn't quite understand it. But again, you know, figure out, all right, well, I can sit here and I can listen and they can tell me about their things that they're doing and I can put my focus on listening. And I may never understand it, but I can learn and I can show positive reinforcement and appreciation for what they enjoy. And that's worked out pretty well. You know, I think I've got pretty well-adjusted kids that come to me for anything that they need, and they're happy and healthy. And, you know, part of parenting is, again, teaching an example. So for my older son, he's wanting to get out and get active more. Now, he's always been a runner. He'll run 5 or 6 miles in a day, but he does, like me, he takes after me. He has a slower metabolism, and he can sometimes tend to out-eat his activity level. But he's doing very well, and I'm exceptionally proud of him. You know, he doesn't come to the gym with me because Dad goes in the early morning, and he's a late day guy. But through the school, he's got access to the Y, and he's going in and working out, and he's seeing me eat the healthier foods. And you know, he may not eat the same foods because he doesn't like them as much, but he's made so much improvement in the choices that he is making that, you know, that's really nice to see.
Yeah.
How that example rubs off.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So transferable skills. Learn from different aspects of life. Might it be that you've overcome whatever it is that you've overcome? Might it be whatever your low spot was? Jeremy was nice enough to come and share with us today how he overcame his weight and how it transferred into other portions of his life. Thank you for coming to see us today.
Thank you, Craig.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?